All right. Hola. Me llamo Maria. Thank you. Wait, there's more. There's more. ¿Qué tal? Muy bien. All right, that's all I got. Okay. Welcome. What an incredible day. Who learned something new today? Right? All right. I find on the Salesforce platform, there's always something new to learn. 3 times a year, at least. Right? We innovate so that you can deliver innovation at your companies. And in the time we have today before the after party, which is next, then we're going to talk about innovation. And I want to inspire you to be innovators at work and in your life. But first, I stole this slide from, oh, come on now, I was ready. Like I said, oh, now it's like just not even going. We're going to talk about this slide for a long time. I would like to thank muchas gracias por su tiempo hoy. Right? Yes. I got this. Whew. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and spend at dreamOlé and to stay even later to spend with me. It's a real investment in you and your career, and it's just been a really fun day. So thank you all for coming. Let's also thank our organizers one last time. And they have taken their own time to create this event. It's incredible. Thank you so much. It's amazing to see what the community does. I work somewhere where people spend their own time creating a day like this, and they're not getting paid by Salesforce, right? They just do it. It's incredible. It's incredible and really humbling. I also want to thank 2 of the organizers, especially Julio and Lara. We met at Dreamforce 2018 at the lip sync battle, right? They placed second. Are we going to get to see you perform today? We'll see. I may have seen them practicing in the back. So who's going to join us for the after party and the lip sync battle? Yes, come on. I didn't see everybody. Okay. But first, let's talk about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation is evolution, not revolution. Good news is these words in Spanish are very close, right? Innovación is evolución. No, revolución. All right, thank you. And so I'm not the first person to say this. I may have been the first person to say it in very bad Spanish, but I'm not the first person to say it or notice it, but I think it's important, right? Innovation is something achievable. It's small steps. It's not some big jump out into the unknown. And I look at it in a framework. There's 3 stages: intention, inspiration, and then that leads to innovation. Right, so you start with an intention. What do you want to do and why? Right, ¿qué? ¿Por qué? And then you're inspired. What do you see other people doing? It's not stealing. It's borrowing. Right? You're being inspired by, say, what your competitors do. Right? What are other people doing? That can inspire you to a new idea. And that's how you reach innovation. So today we're going to look at 3 stories from my career, my experience, where I've used this framework for innovation at a product level, also to innovate around equality, and to innovate in my personal life and invest in myself and my family. So first, let's start with some product innovation. Who remembers the platform known as Force.com? Not everyone, okay? So we like to change the name of our platform over time. Used to be called Force.com. There's still the Force shirts. I like that. It's a good shirt. All right. So I started at Salesforce in 2005, a very long time ago. And at that time, people had built software for mainframes. They'd built software for client server. And then there was this new thing, on-demand software, what we now call cloud computing. So it was a really long time ago. And so pretty much everything we did was new and innovative. But when I joined the platform product management team, there wasn't a platform. We had a CRM application, sales. It was very lovely, not really a platform underneath. So we had a lot of work to do. So our intention was always to make the simple things simple and the hard things possible. And you may not recognize Parker Harris. This is an old photo of him. His hair is now gray. Back then, we both had darker hair. But the co-founder of Salesforce, Parker Harris, he was our leader in the product organization, and he still leads our product organization today. I would argue to be one of the most innovative product teams on the planet. All right, so that was our intention, right? And the project that I led, my first project, was to make the detail page, the fields on the page, customizable, right? And maybe could we make some code run in the page as well? So we could make the simple things, moving fields around, possible, and then the hard things possible as well. So how could we run some inline code, which we weren't able to do? So I don't know if anyone remembers the original classic page layout editor. I couldn't even find a picture of it on the internet. I tried. Right? It was just a list, a picture, if you will, close your eyes, picture a list of fields. One single list. Needed like a way to move them up and down somehow, with like a button. Anyway, that was it. So we had a lot of work to do, and it was a lot of fun. So what did we do? We looked and said, okay, how do other people do it? You know, are there other app building tools that let you modify the user interface? And how do they work? And I had worked at my previous company, and we had a workflow tool, pretty amazing, right? And I had been in the process of moving that from client server to the web. So I knew the technology was there for something slightly more graphical than the list of fields. We could do better, right? And we did have some code. I don't know if anyone remembers S controls. Okay, 4 people, a couple of nods. Before Lightning Web Components, before Lightning Components, before Visual Force, there was S controls. Long live S controls. All right, you can no longer create S controls, but they were amazing. That was our front-end coding technology. There was also this thing called HTML5. It was brand new and fancy. And then all the kids were learning this front-end popular language called JavaScript. Have you heard of it? All right, so we knew that this stuff was possible. So we put it all together, and we created the amazing Page Layout Editor 2.0. Right? It's incredible. It looks a little dated now. I understand there's been another one after I left product management. They made something called the Lightning App Builder. Have you seen that one? Okay. This was the first before that. All right. But and like I said, everything we did was new. You know, customizing the user interface on an on-demand platform is a patentable idea, it turns out. And I have this little tiny patent on my desk at home. And I could read it to you. It's very interesting. I don't understand it, but it's pretty cool. And so everything we did was new. It was really exciting. And I don't remember a lot about that time, but this particular project was my first project where I built something that I designed that was really brand new. And I worked with this really smart team. It's my favorite part of product management. It's being in a room full of smart people, arguing, writing on the whiteboard, arguing some more, right, and producing something new. So I'm hoping that that's how you feel when you go to work, right, and you're solving a problem for your customer or your company, and arguing probably, maybe, about a solution in Salesforce, but that's what it feels like. So again, I took this framework, right? What's the intention? What's the inspiration? And then how do we create innovation from that, right? So our intention was to make the product better. At work, I'm guessing you have lots of opportunities. People are asking you, could you please make this better? How about this over here, and maybe this, right? So you can look at other tools and new technologies, whether it's on our platform or it's what your colleagues are doing in the community, right, to get inspired and build better products at your company. Ballet? Right, ballet, 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 ballet. Okay, got this. All right, so now I want to talk about it the second time. I experienced innovation, and this is around equality. This is after I left the product management team and I moved to developer evangelism. In developer evangelism, our job is to inspire and empower you all to be successful with the Salesforce platform. And so we do that through the developer website with blogs and webinars, and we speak and give talks at Dreamforce and world tours and at developer groups. Right, so this was my new job, talking about the platform, which is pretty exciting. And in the role, though, I started on a journey around equality because I realized that there was inequality in the tech industry. Not everyone was represented. Some people were being left out. When I attended my first developer meetup in New York, there were 50 people. I looked around. I happened to count that there were 3 women. And I said to myself, why? Why, Mary? Why? That's me, by the way. The blue hair, right? Can you see it? Blue spiky hair. On the inside, that's how I feel. But I thought to myself, why are there only 3 women in this developer meetup? And my intention then was to increase the visibility and the number of women in our Salesforce ecosystem. A little while later, I realized that women are not the only underrepresented group in tech. Did you know? Right? It took me a while. It took me a year to figure that out. So if you already know that, you're ahead of me. Okay? So then I started to go to more events. I went to Blacks in Tech events. African Americans in tech are very underrepresented in the US, maybe 1 or 2% of the workforce. And I also spoke with our Ability Force, Ohana group, and they represent folks with disabilities. So people with disabilities, I wanted to know, what's it like to come to Dreamforce or one of our events? Are there barriers? How can we do better? Right? And then I also looked at the diversity of our speakers. Who's on stage at Dreamforce? How can we change that? So these are some of the areas that I looked at. And one group I didn't actually know anything about when I started in developer evangelism, and that is the transgender community. But I was inspired when I heard Angelica Ross speak at an event called Lesbians Who Tech. And this is a tech conference in San Francisco and New York, and also I think there was one in Germany, so they do go global. And Angelica was talking about how hard it is for the transgender community to find work. Right? They're discriminated against at work. And so it's very hard for them. So she started Trans Tech to teach tech skills to transgender people to help them on a path to jobs. So I was inspired by Angelica, who at the time had just started Trans Tech. She's now the star of a TV series. I didn't know. Lovely. So that really got me thinking. Also at Lesbian Tech, they had these buttons, and they were pronoun buttons, so that you could say what your pronouns were: she, her, he, him, or they, them. And what that does is it allows people who are transgender to identify their pronouns so that you don't misgender them and call them the wrong pronoun, right? Which becomes an awkward conversation that they have to have all the time. So it also makes the non-binary community feel included, right? And that's, and many folks in the U.S. use the pronouns they, them, right? So you can have these buttons. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. We've got our little buttons on our lanyards. All right. And then I realized that we had Astro. Did you know Astro's pronouns are they, them? It's true. And that was just something someone else did, right? I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I thought of Astro as someone who they could be an ambassador, right, for the transgender community and kind of introducing the pronouns. So the innovation that came from that was these pronoun buttons, right? And so there's like a little card. It's right here, actually. A little card. And with a button, and you put a sticker on it. So when we first rolled these out, we did it like in the backpack, like behind, like over here, real quiet, hoping no one would yell at us that we had done something terribly wrong and offending everyone. So that was Trailhead DX 2016. Nobody yelled at us. It went okay. So the next year, we brought them up to the front. We put them up with the badges. We're like, would you like a badge? And a pronoun button. And now, it's just part of what we do at every major Salesforce event. And so over that time, it's become something scary, gone from something scary, like maybe we shouldn't do it, to something we just do all the time, right? Making those events more inclusive. And that really started back in 2014 or 2016, started Salesforce's journey on talking about inclusion and diversity to our customers. I want to share this video.
Can you tell just by looking at me?
Can you tell just by looking at me?
So can you tell by looking at me that I'm an Iraq War vet?
Would you guess that I am a pro bodybuilder?
I'm an avid college basketball fan.
I love Bruce Lee films.
I am half redneck.
I used to be a chubby kid.
Would you have guessed that I'm a swimmer?
That I'm Catholic? I did not learn how to speak English until I was in 2nd grade.
Just by looking at me, you wouldn't know that I was the first in my immediate family to graduate high school.
So would you guess that I'm undocumented and then that I got a degree from Haas Business School?
Would you assume?
What many people assume is that I'm happy, but many people don't realize that I'm scared.
I'm afraid of being misunderstood.
We're all afraid of something. We're all insecure about something.
Yeah, I wake up every day with the fear of deportation.
Lots of us are just afraid of what we don't know.
Don't assume, ask what you don't know.
You don't know about Islam? Ask me questions. Won't offend me.
And if you ask me, I'm Filipino.
I'm Apache and Comanche.
I'm very much proud of my spirituality.
I am a she.
I am a he.
I'm straight.
I'm a lesbian.
I am a husband. I am trans.
I am a 3-time cancer survivor.
I'm Mexican Chinese. I'm gay.
I am a proud Muslim.
I am an ally.
I am an ally.
Not only am I an ally, I'm a champion.
My truth does not have to be someone else's truth, but they are still true.
So we're asking you to tell us who you are.
Be seen and be recognized.
Be part of a more diverse and more inclusive culture.
Help us move forward together.
Because together, we are Salesforce.
Juntos somos Salesforce.
We are Ohana.
And Salesforce welcomes all.
Can I hug you? Okay.
You are not required to hug each other now, but you can if you want. You can pass tissues around. What did I not do in that video that I should have done if I wanted it to be accessible? Right? So there were no which is why I was trying to get the subtitles to come up, the closed captioning. So on the YouTube version, we have closed captioning, but this is embedded in the PowerPoint. So apologies. So there you go. We're all learning. We're on a journey about equality. Oh, so anyway, sorry. I don't know. How did that get in there, right? How did that get in there? All right. Anyway. Like I was saying, there are three stages of innovation. So, again, to recap, our intention, or my intention, was to increase the diversity in the Salesforce community. And I was inspired by these other events and by our own characters. And then the outcome is that now our events are more inclusive. And we definitely have more to do. Not all of our videos are captioned. That's something on the developer evangelism team and the admin evangelism team that we're working really hard to do. The admin podcast was not transcribed until 2 months ago when we interviewed Sunday Parker, who you saw sitting in a wheelchair, who happens to be the president of Ability Force, and she was being interviewed in the podcast. And she said, so is this podcast transcribed? Right? And so she's not blind, but she knows that that's something that's a blocker. Right? Blind, deaf, one or the other. She's not deaf, but she knows it's a blocker. All right, so being an ally for somebody else as part of her role. All right, final story, Mary. What is it going to be? Why is there a llama on your slide? Because llamas are cute, right? Not kittens, llamas, always. All right? So, find this framework can be used for personal innovation as well. So my last story is a time where I invested in myself and my family and did something that we thought was pretty cool, which is that we took 6 months off and took this little kid who was 5 at the time and is 12 now. Our sons, my wife Noelani, we took our son to South America for 6 months. And I'll tell you about that. So that's not something that maybe everyone is in a position to do or has done or wants to do, but just thinking about this framework, how you can use it to do, some cool things in your life. Maybe it'll inspire you. So before he was born, Noelani and I had the intention that our son would go somewhere other than America because we wanted him to know that America is not the center of the universe. Even though some people might think it is. So we wanted him to know that because Noelani had spent a year, she'd grown up in America, spent a year in Europe when she was 5 with her mom, adorable picture right here, and that's Noelani at 5. So she had these great experiences and, could speak multiple languages at 5 and just had a wider view that people, lived different ways and had different food and, different culture and really wanted that for our son. So that was our intention. And so for inspiration, we thought about our first thing was that our son is a quarter Peruvian and we'd never been to Peru. And so we wanted to make sure that he had a chance to experience that culture firsthand himself. And so, we want to go to Peru. Great. We want to go for a year. Can't afford a whole year. Not enough money. So how about 6 months? So let's go to Peru. And then a friend had done a program called woofing. Has anyone heard of woofing? Woofing? It's good to talk about it with your friends. You trade your labor on a farm, right? So you're picking vegetables or weeds on a farm in exchange for food and housing, which is a great way to travel if you are not working and therefore not making any money, right? So we could travel for free. So we're inspired to do that. And then finally, I had always really wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands. Who wants to go to the Galapagos Islands? Right? Who's been to the Galapagos Islands? All right, yes, okay. It's really cool. If you have a chance to go, I recommend it. So we put all these things together, and Noelani planned an epic adventure where we spent 6 months in 4 countries. And what we did is we didn't just go around as tourists, but we lived in each country for a whole month in one town. So we tried to really immerse ourselves in the culture. You know, what would it be like to live here in a house, to work on a farm here, to go to the panaderias every day, to have our son go to kindergarten in Pisac, Peru, learning to write his letters, as well as having a much, much, much better Spanish pronunciation than me, which isn't that hard, I understand, but he likes to point it out. So, he also, you know, we met some people we're still friends with. You know, he got this worldview that has really changed him and changed how he sees the world. It's a lot different than how his classmates see the world. So that was our personal innovation, right? So we used these 3 steps. Our intention to, you know, expand the world, invest in our family, and it took some time, right? We had to save all that money, right? And we had to really, really work. I had the luxury of Salesforce saying, sure, Mary, take 6 months off. You know, you built the page layout editor, you're all set. You know, we'll take it from here, right? And then knowing that I would have a job to come back to, which was amazing. So we took that time, invested in ourselves, and we were inspired by other people we knew who had traveled in Noelani's travels, right? And wanting to see other cultures. And I think we came out of it better people, right? And our son with a wider worldview and memories that will last. So we haven't continued the cycle. You know, I feel like in the other examples, right? So page layout editor, we continued innovating. Right? Equality, we continued innovating. Maybe we need to take another trip, right? Okay. So next year, we'll talk about the trip we took where we lived for a month in Italy, which is where my family's from. Okay? Good plan? All right. All right. Where's Carla? Carla lived for a month here in Spain, thinking, my job is remote. I can live anywhere. So think about that. So I do hope that this talk and this framework inspires you to think about how you can innovate in both your work and your personal life. And I think you can start right now. Right? Think about what was your intention for being at the event today. Why did you not go to work today? And why did you come here to be with this community? What or who inspired you while you were here today? And what will you do now? Well, what are you going to do right now? After party, lip sync battle, okay? But like after that, all right, tomorrow, okay? How will you innovate after being here today? You know, will you build a new product? Will you champion equality or another social cause? Will you invest in your own, you know, personal life or your family? So what will you do to be an innovator? Well, think about it, and that's it. Now clap. All right. That's it. Party.